Hi guys, welcome back. If you're new to my channel, my name is Carmen. Welcome. I'm going to show you a method that will help you to determine with over 90% accuracy if your relationship will last in the future using numerology. This method is very, very powerful because it looks at your relationship on a much deeper level using numerology. And I use this method when I find matches for my clients. And it has been extremely reliable and powerful for me. And so that is why I use this method. And I can tell you from my experience of matching hundreds of people together, many of which ended up getting married and having long-term committed relationships. I can tell you from my experience that this method really does work. And so I'm going to show you how to use this method right now. We are going to be looking at 3 key numbers in your numerology birth chart. And so if you don't know what your numerology birth chart is, it's very easy to calculate this. I did a video on how to calculate these numbers. We're only going to be calculating a few numbers, that's it. I did a video on how to do this, so I will put a link to that in the description box. And I will also put links to some apps that you can download that will calculate your chart for you. And these apps are completely free. You just have to download them and put in your birth date and the first, middle, and last name on your birth certificate. And it will calculate your chart for you for free. And once you have calculated your chart and your partner's chart, we're going to put your 2 charts together side by side to determine with 90% accuracy if your relationship will last in the future. So the 3 numbers in your core number chart that we're looking at are the life path number, the expression number, and the soul's urge number. And we're only looking at these 3 numbers because these are the most important numbers when it comes to determining if a relationship is compatible. So you're going to put your 2 charts right next to each other and you're going to look at your life path numbers first. And ideally, you would want your life path numbers to be natural match numbers. So the natural match numbers are just numbers that go really well together because they have a lot in common with each other and they tend to be multiples of each other. So as you can see, 2, 4, and 8 are all connected. They're very similar. 3, 6, and 9 are all connected. They're very similar, and 1, 5, and 7 are all connected. They're very similar as well. So now your life path numbers do not have to be natural match numbers. That would be ideal, but you just need to have your 2 life path numbers both be either even numbers or both be odd numbers. And the reason you want them both to be either even or both be odd is because the even numbers tend to have a similar energy and the odd numbers tend to have a similar energy. So the closer your energy is to another person's, the more compatible you are going to be with that person. And so if both of your life path numbers are even numbers, then you get 50 points in this category. If both of your life path numbers are odd numbers, then you also get 50 points in this category. Now, if you have an odd life path number and the other person has an even life path number, then you get 0 points in this category, and vice versa as well. And by the way, if you have a master number 11 or master number 33 in any of these categories, then you can either count that as an odd number or an even number. 11 and 33 are both odd numbers, but if you were to add the 11 together, you would get a 2, which is an even number. And if you were to add the 33 together, you would get a 6, which is also an even number. So even though these 2 are odd numbers, they also have the qualities of even numbers too. So you can count them as either. Now, the life path number is weighted more than the other numbers just because the life path number is the most important number in your chart and it is essentially who you are at your core. So it does get more points than the other numbers. So now we're going to move on to the expression number, which is basically how you express yourself to the world. And some numerologists refer to this as the destiny number. So, and that's basically just your destiny and kind of a foreshadowing and a prediction of what's to come for you. So, in this category, it's going to be the same thing. If you both have an even number or if you both have an odd expression destiny number, then you get 25 points in this category. And if your expression destiny number is even and the other person's is odd, or vice versa, then you get no points in this category. And you guys want to have a similar energy for this number, because this is the direction you're headed in and this is your destiny. So you kind of want to be headed in the same direction as the other person. So it would make sense that you would want to have a similar energy to that other person in this category. And the last category is the soul's urge number, which is the number that determines what brings you happiness in life and what makes you happy. And it's the same for this as well. You would want both of your soul's urge numbers to be either both even or both odd. And if they are both even or both odd, then you get 25 points in this category. And if they're not, like if yours is even and the other person's is odd or vice versa, then you get no points. And it makes sense that you would want to have a similar energy in life for what brings you happiness, because happiness is very important, right, in a relationship. So, okay, so after you have scored all of your points together and added them up, we're going to now take a look at the results of your test. And after we do this, we're going to look at the two charts of a famous celebrity couple, just to give you an example of how all of this comes together. So make sure to watch the whole video. So if your score was 75 or higher, then you have a good chance that your relationship will last. So what that means basically is that little work is needed in your relationship. So this is probably a relationship where you just naturally kind of get each other and you don't really have to put a lot of work into the relationship. It's just very naturally compatible. And that doesn't mean that it's perfect, but because no relationship is, but most of the time you guys do well together and you really don't have to work on it that much to be at this level. And so you do have a good chance that your relationship will last if you're in this category. And so you fall into the next category if your score was between 25 to 74 points. And so in this category, you have an average chance that your relationship will last. So average meaning that you are just kind of in the middle. And what that means basically is that some work is needed in this relationship. There are some areas that you guys are compatible in, but there's other areas that you're not compatible in. And so in those areas that you are not compatible, you guys need to put some work into those areas. So, you don't have to work on the whole relationship, but there are some parts of this relationship that you will need to put some work into if you want this relationship to last. And if you do happen to fall into this category, you can always book a reading with me and I can tell you exactly what needs to be done to make sure that this relationship lasts for a very, very long time and has a good chance of lasting. And so even if you just have an average chance, you can always turn that into a very high chance by doing the work that needs to be done and by going about it knowing exactly what to do based on your numbers. And so if your score was between 0 to 24 points, then you fall into the last category, which is having a low chance that your relationship will last. Now, this doesn't mean that your relationship is not going to last. What it just means is that a lot of work is needed in order to make this relationship last. And if you do the work, if you put in all of the effort and the work, then you can have a greater chance of having a relationship that will last. Without doing any of that work, this relationship is going to be very difficult because you guys just have a very different energy. So, there's a lot of things that you just are not compatible in terms of who you are in your core, who you are in terms of where you're going in life, what direction you're headed in, how you express yourself, what makes you happy, those kinds of things. You guys just have a very different energy in terms of all of that. And so, this is not going to be the most compatible relationship. It is probably a more difficult relationship because of this. And so it will need a lot of work, a lot more work than most other relationships need. But if you are willing to put in that work, then you can always increase your chances of your relationship lasting, and you can definitely bump it up into one of the higher categories for sure. I've worked with a lot of people on this, and I can tell you that you can make it happen. I've had clients that fell into this category and they were very incompatible with their partners, and with a little bit of guidance and a little bit of help, I was able to really help them to see what exactly they need to do to make their relationship last for a very long time. And some of these clients that fell into this category have now been in relationships for years because they, were given a little bit of guidance and help, and they really put in the work and they actually followed through on the things that they were told. And so just with a little bit of guidance, their relationships became much easier and much happier, and they were able to beat the odds. So if you do happen to fall into this category, you can always book a reading with me and I can go over exactly what it is that you need to do specifically based on your numbers to make sure that your relationship does beat the odds. And so I'll put the information to that below in the description box. So this is just one example of a celebrity couple that has lasted a really long time. This is Sarah Jessica Parker and Matthew Broderick, and they have been together for over 20 years now. And so I want to show you guys exactly why this couple has lasted as long as it has. So as you can see, they both have an even number as a life path number, so that gives them 50 points. They both have even numbers as expression numbers because the 6 is an even number, and like I said with the 11, you can either make this an odd number or an even number because it has both of those qualities. So that would give them 25 more points. And then their soul's urge numbers are both odd numbers, which gives them another 25 points. So if you add all of those points together, they get 100 points, which is on the upper end of this category. So this is probably a relationship that is very compatible. They have a very similar energy, and there's probably not a lot of work that they have to put into this relationship to make it work. It doesn't mean that this relationship is perfect, but very little work is required to make this relationship work. And it has a very good chance of lasting, and it has lasted a very long time so far. So let me know in the comments below how this worked out for you. What was your experience using this method and this test with your relationship? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to book a reading with me and find out what you can do to help to make your relationship as compatible as possible and to make it last into the future, you can book a reading with me. I'll put a link below to that in the description box. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. And I would love to have you subscribe. And you can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And I want to thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video today. I am sending you light and love. Take care.